Hey guys, welcome to Bastion Time. Good morning. I just recently woke up, 58 minutes ago, and as I was scrolling through my news on my Pixel, I was noticing that it kept saying something about Zelda, and usually, this is going to sound crazy to you. You know, I'm a huge, massive Zelda fan, but usually I just skip past anything that says Zelda because it's usually ridiculous rumors from frankly really bad sites that don't know how to journalism, and so usually I just skip right past that. But I noticed, wait a minute, this is a title, a new Zelda game, Hyrule Warriors. Don't super duper care about Hyrule Warriors, although I did play the first one all the way through, even though it wasn't quite my style of game. But I'm reasonably excited about this. There were quite a few people who have said, hey, I miss your old style of videos where you would talk about Zelda news and stuff like that. And I've commented back a couple times like, yeah, but there isn't anything to talk about when it comes to Zelda news. If there ever is, then of course I'll make a video. This isn't quite what I was hoping for, but it's something, so I better make sure to follow through on my promise. So I'm actually going to do a reaction video for maybe the second time only in my life. So let's put on these headphones and let's get started. And then I noticed that the video is pretty short. It's only 6 minutes. So as a result, I'm going to talk about some other Zelda stuff afterwards. Anyways, let's get started. I bet it's going to want to play an ad first, so bear with me as I delete that part out of this video. Oh no, it just starts directly. Okay. It's Eiji Aonuma.
Hello everyone, I'm Eiji Aonuma, the producer of the Legend of Zelda series. We mentioned in the June 2019 Nintendo Direct presentation that we had started development on the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
That's
awfully...
That's quite a huge tease.
So I'd like to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Everyone,
you shouldn't really start the video saying, hey, we told you we were going to talk about Breath of the Wild 2. Guess what, we're not. Instead, we're going to talk about this Hyrule Warriors thing.
In order to make the vast world you enjoyed exploring in the original game even more impressive, the team is working hard on its development. So you'll have to wait a bit longer before we can provide more updates.
Well, at least they're updating that there's not going to be an update, right?
We've prepared a different way for you to experience the world of Hyrule, and we have a video to introduce it. Please take a look.
So they're going to reuse the same landscape from Breath of the Wild in this Skyward Warriors.
Calamity Ganon.
Well, this is just taken directly from Breath of the Wild.
I think you are now ready.
Oh, I wonder if this is going to be the backstory to Breath of the Wild. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, that's obviously what it is, since it's called Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Okay, I think they sold me. I think I'm definitely gonna have to get this. A very, very clever, I have to applaud them. It's very clever of them to reuse their assets like this for a totally different game. And it gives people the opportunity to play as the 4 champions and play as Zelda. At least I assume so. We'll see. Very cool. Age of Calamity. Okay. Probably gonna have to get it.
What you just saw is the game that Koei Tecmo Games is developing. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. This game takes place 100 years before the events of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
I like the idea of getting to play the
Great
backstory.
calamity that occurred 100 years prior was mentioned, but the actual event itself wasn't shown in full. In this game, you'll be able to experience the events of the Great Calamity. So now, I would like to invite Koei Tecmo Games producer, Mr. Hayashi, to join me here.
I think it's super clever of them to do this because they already have all of the assets and the art and everything. They already have the story.
Hello,
All they have to
everyone.
do is just
I'm
take the
Yosuke
Hyrule
Hayashi
Warrior
from Koei
engine
Tecmo Games
and all
and
those
producer of
things
this
and
game.
shove them together and they got a
Hyrule
game.
Warriors Age of Calamity began when Mr. Aonuma approached us saying, I think it would be interesting to create a Warriors game telling the story of the Great Calamity. What do you think? The battles between the Kingdom of Hyrule and Calamity Ganon would complement Warrior-style gameplay against large armies.
That's certainly true. It makes much more sense than playing it as a
Previous Hyrule
regular
Warriors
Zelda
games
game
were
where
filled
it's
with
just
Zelda
Link.
adventures.
Ooh, look at that Goma.
The Legend of
Oh
Zelda
my gosh, so many
Breath of the
cuckoos.
Wild broke these conventions entirely, and perhaps it's the same for everyone here, but for someone like me, who's been playing Zelda games for a long time, this was an extraordinary experience. It's a new, special title for me. Unlike the previous Hyrule Warriors games, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity was developed by working closely with the Zelda team in every step of the process, including gameplay direction, graphics, world, and all dialogue. And while we maintained the distinct gameplay style of the Warriors series with exciting 1 versus 1,000 battles and a wide variety of playable characters, this became the only
The
game
graphics
that
are so
let you
pretty.
experience the world 100 years prior to the events of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild firsthand.
I mean, they're just the Breath of the Wild graphics, but they're so pretty. Definitely my favorite Zelda art style ever.
Thank you, Mr. Hayashi. During the development of the previous Hyrule Warriors games, I was impressed with how the Warriors development team, led by Mr. Hayashi, had a deep understanding of the Legend of Zelda series. This time around, they made it possible to create this new experience by combining the well-detailed world of Breath of the Wild with Warriors gameplay. Therefore, I believe this game will offer the experience of the Great Calamity battles that weren't fully shown in the original game. I hope that both
That's
those
a really
who
good
played
point.
the previous Hyrule Warriors games and
You know, they
those who
showed us in the
played Legend of
backstory
Zelda
that it's
Breath
really
of the
about these
Wild can
massive
experience
armies
this game.
combating each other,
Hyrule
and you
Warriors
can't really
Age
do
of
that as a
Calamity
typical Zelda
launched
game, so a
on
Warriors
November
game makes the
20th.
most sense. Ooh, that's so soon. Here I thought they were going to say like in a
Thank you
year
for
or
your
something.
continued support for The Legend of Zelda and this game.
ご視聴ありがとうございました。
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a day one purchase for me. And that's it. Okay, so let's take off these headphones. So if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, I'm going to say that when I first saw that it was a Hyrule Warriors game, I was like, seriously? We've been there. We've done that. We don't need another one. In fact, frankly, aren't there two? Or I guess there was an updated version. I never played the updated version, the Switch one. I only ever played the Wii U one. So I kind of was like, this is obviously, they are taking their sweet ass time making Breath of the Wild 2. They don't have that anywhere near close to completion, which frankly, we'll get into that in a second, but why the heck not if they're reusing the exact same landscape? They're done already, right? But that being the case, then if they're not ready to release that, then they need something Zelda, so fine, I get it. Hyrule Warriors, okay. But this is so cool because it's taking something that a lot of us Zelda fans are super curious about, which is more about this Calamity War thing, the backstory of Breath of the Wild, and we actually get a chance to experience it. So that's so cool. It will be kind of depressing though, because we all know that it ends with Link's he dies, right? At the end, or he comes extremely close to death. So that's atypical for a Zelda game to have it end with Link's death, basically. So that's gonna be weird. But you know, they'll put a hopeful spin on it, like, don't worry, he'll wake up again in 100 years, and then he'll be fine, and then he'll finally finish defeating Calamity Ganon, or 1,000 years. How many years? I can't even remember. So in any case, I am very impressed that they did something super smart with this, which is to take an opportunity to tell us a really cool story, but and reuse all the assets that they have, so that way they can just zip this thing out as fast as humanly possible. November 20th? That's super fast. And yeah, I'm pretty impressed with them. That's a very, very smart idea. Now, let's talk about other Zelda topics. How is that for a transition? Something that has been driving me a little crazy is the more I think about Breath of the Wild 2, the less excited I get about it, because they keep reiterating over and over that it's gonna be the same landscape that we already explored in Breath of the Wild. And I don't know about you, but the main thing that I liked about Breath of the Wild was getting a chance to explore this brand new landscapes. I have no idea where anything is. And you know, like they kept telling us over and over in trailers before they released the game, you see that big mountain out there or that big tree? You can go there and find out what that's about. And that was so cool. Like my favorite thing, besides this, not the story, not the gameplay really, I liked the gameplay, but my absolute favorite thing about the game is being on top of the Great Plateau, looking out at that giant landscape and thinking, that weird twin mountain thing, I gotta go find that. And I think that was the very first thing I did, is I glided as close to that as possible, and then like seeing a tower in the distance and heading there and climbing that, and then looking to find the next tower that I wanted to go to. Exploring the landscape was the best part about that game. And if it's going to be the exact same landscape, what is the point? And everybody's like, yeah, but it'll have dungeons. Okay, I didn't really care that it didn't have dungeons. It had the shrines. Those were taking a dungeon and breaking it up into a million pieces. That was good enough for me. I don't need typical, stereotypical Zelda dungeons. I need that new landscape. So I really thought that when I heard they were doing a Breath of the Wild 2, I thought, oh, for sure what they're going to do is when you get to the northern edge of the map, you can see a chasm and I think water, and then after that you can see that there's this whole other landscape to the north. Surely we're going to go explore that landscape in Breath of the Wild 2. No, just the same exact landscape from Breath of the Wild 1. And then people are like, oh, but what's really cool about it is that clearly we're going to explore under everything, and there's like a whole new world down there. That sounds monotonous. I don't want to explore just a bunch of caves. I don't want to explore. I want what we had in Breath of the Wild 1, where I can see a forest in the distance and I can go and explore that. I can see, you know, a desert and go explore that. I can see a lake or a river. There's not going to be any of that under the ground, right? So I don't know. I'm less and less excited about Breath of the Wild 2. And then the other topic that I wanted to at some point address about Zelda that is driving me crazy is, you know, there are all these rumors about Skyward Sword being remade for the Switch. And people are saying insane things like, oh, isn't it so cool that they're going to ditch the motion controls and finally give us the version of Skyward Sword we wanted, where it's just like a regular Zelda game where you press a button and you swing a sword. And it's like, you fools, that's not what we're gonna get. If they really are doing a remake of Skyward Sword, first of all, it's probably going to be more like a remaster or an HD upgrade. It's probably not going to be a remake where they're actually like reinventing it from the ground up. IG Aonuma specifically stated that would be impossible. They wouldn't want to do that. They can't replace. Anyways, the thing that I really want to talk about is the motion control part. Those are going to be there. You just gotta accept that. They're not going to remove the motion controls, because the motion controls, the entire game was built around the motion controls. It's not like they had a story and they had some characters and they did that and then they put the motion controls in. It was the other way around. They had the motion controls and like, how can we do a Zelda game with these motion controls? And then they figured it out, despite what you think, they figured it out. And then they made a game and a story and puzzles and enemies and landscapes and items. Everything is built around the motion controls. So the motion controls are there to stay. You're not gonna get buttons mapped to swing a sword. You're still gonna have to use those motion controls. So anyways, that's been driving me crazy, is hearing people be like, oh, it'll be so cool to play Skyward Sword without the motion controls. No. You're not going to be able to do that ever unless a fan makes that. But as far as Nintendo's concerned, they hit it out of the ballpark with Skyward Sword and the motion controls. The majority of Zelda fans disagree, but I loved it just fine. Anyways, so if we do get Skyward Sword HD for Nintendo Switch remaster, probably not remake, it's gonna have the motion controls. You're not gonna be able to turn those off. So anyways, that's what I wanted to babble about. I'm really excited about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I can't believe that I'm excited about it, because frankly I was like, I bet this is going to be a bit of a downer. I bet I'm going to be like, oh, well, enjoy those who want to play it, but actually I want to play it, so I'm very excited for it. And yep, that's it for this video. See you guys for a regular story time next time. Bye guys.